What does it mean to live in harmony with nature? We hear a lot about the idea of living in harmony with nature, but what does live in harmony with nature really mean? Why should we live in harmony with nature? It's more important than you might think. Welcome to the channel. I'm Kim Marie, and this channel is all about supporting women to step into their most empowered self so they can live their most fulfilling life. Today we're going to explore what it means to be and live in harmony with nature. We'll understand what harmony with nature means and what it means to live in harmony. I'll be sharing 10 powerful ways to start living in harmony with nature starting today. So let's dive in. First, we want to understand harmony with nature. Harmony in itself is notes in music that come together and form a pleasing sound. It's the opposite of discord. And you can think of maybe flowing against the stream or being against the grain of something as being discordant. It kind of goes outside of the flow. So one of the things about being in harmony with nature is that we are in the flow of life. We're stepping into the flow. The flow is a very feminine quality. So it's also very much about aligning with the feminine. We talk about Mother Nature. That is a very feminine quality. So to live in harmony with nature is to tune into and balance our feminine and masculine qualities, to step into the flow, and to feel a deep sense of connection and respect and alignment with nature and the laws of nature. So that brings me to, how do we live in harmony with nature? How can we be in harmony with nature? Well, one of the first and most important that too many of us do not know about is understanding the laws of nature. If we want to be in harmony with nature, which is mostly what this video is focused on, I'm touching a little bit on living in harmony with nature, but they're slightly different. And I plan to have another video on living in harmony with nature as well. But to be in harmony with nature, we need to really understand nature. And the laws of nature are a very powerful way to do that. Most of us don't know what they are. We hear a few things here and there, like the law of attraction or, different law of vibration or things like that. But we don't really understand what that means or how to live it. All of nature does. We are nature as well, but because we have this ability to think for ourselves and choose for ourselves and have this sense of sovereignty, we've become quite disconnected from that. But I have some good news, because if you want to tune into more of the laws of nature and how to live aligned with nature, I put out a Sacred Nights of Winter journal every year. And this year's theme is living aligned with nature. And I'm going to go much more deeply into the laws of nature, what they are, how we can honor them. We're going to work with one each night. The journal looks at 13 nights during what I call the Sacred Nights of Winter, between roughly the winter solstice and early January, and you're going to be able to do a deep dive to connect and align with nature more deeply. The link is in the description. Take a look at that. This journal is so powerful. You're going to love it. A second way to be in harmony with nature is to pay attention to our lifestyle. I am a huge advocate of holistic living. Nature is holistic. Everything in nature is cohesive and working together and honoring of the various aspects and different domains of nature. We need to look at our lifestyle and treat it the same way. We need to honor all aspects of our being, whether it's our health and wellness, our sense of spirituality, our finances, our family and community life, any of those things. We want to pay attention to our lifestyle and how we're living it so that we can be more in harmony with nature. And nature can be an amazing teacher to help us see where we might be out of balance or having a lifestyle that's kind of off from natural expression. Another way to be in harmony with nature is to pay attention to feminine principles. I already talked about things like flow, but we also want to look at receptivity. Are we receptive to life and open to life? The feminine is really great at navigating uncertainty, so tapping into our feminine can help us with that. The feminine is also very collaborative. Everything in nature is very collaborative if you think about it. Now, we can also look at the cohesiveness and the integratedness of nature and the interdependence and how everything is embraced in nature. And so tuning into these feminine principles of embracing and collaborating and honoring the whole of life is really helpful to help us be in harmony with nature. Another way to be in harmony is to honor the rhythms of nature. We can pay attention to things like the seasonal rhythms, the rhythms of the cycle of the moon, and the various stages of that. Most of us don't even pay attention to this. We have become kind of clueless to it, to be honest, and we're seeing the toll that's taking. Most of us try to kind of fight against the seasons that we don't like or push through moon influences and don't pay attention to any of that. When we start paying attention to that, we can be so much more harmonious with nature and her cycles. Another way to be in harmony with nature is to know and relate to nature. Know your surroundings. Experience what is around you. Many of us don't even spend time knowing what kinds of plants or animals might frequent our own backyard. When we can start to tune into our surroundings and be aware of our surroundings, and in many ways this would include even our indoor surroundings, what's around us, not just outdoors, but in life. Because remember, we are nature. We're not just a part of it. So everything around us is influencing us. So being more tuned in and understanding how it influences us and how to connect with it more or disconnect from it more if the need arises is really important to be more in harmony with that flow of life. The next one, I touched on the idea that we are nature. All of nature lives inside of us. We can think of, how am I the tree? How am I the bird? How am I the ocean? How am I the sky? What is it that is living in us? We can even look to nature for these archetypal models that show us more of who we are, that help us connect more to the real, true knowing that nature lives within us. Nature and all of her laws and processes live within us. So getting to know nature and really understand that we are nature and all of nature is within us is so powerful. Another way to be in harmony with nature is to allow nature to move through you. Feel into it. Feel the calm and the peace that we all feel when we're sitting outside on a beautiful day or standing near or walking near a stream or a bubbling brook, or we're listening to the beautiful bird song or hearing the waves of the ocean. There's so much there to draw from and to feel wonder and appreciation about. So when we let it move us the way that it was intended, we begin to feel that much more in harmony with it, that much more connected to it. We're not resisting it. Our patriarchal dominance culture wants us to dominate and control nature rather than live with it, in harmony with it. So we want to actually allow it to move us, to touch us, to have us feel something and connect to the wonder that is with that. When we do that, we are not interested in controlling or dominating nature anymore. We are much more interested in genuinely living in harmony with it. The seventh thing that I want to share to be in harmony with nature is to let nature be your greatest teacher and guide. Truly, when I started doing this, everything changed. This is why I host free quarterly gatherings for the seasons. I talk a lot in my community groups about the cycles of the moon. I am a firm believer that the more we connect with and tune into nature, the more we truly become empowered as our own unique self. And so when you look to nature to be your teacher, you will learn so much. Observing animals, plants, other phenomenon will help you understand yourself more, because remember, we are nature, and so all of that lives within us. And so when we start listening and paying attention and noticing what we can do to really honor nature and let it teach us, let it guide us, oh my goodness, we can feel so much more in harmony, but so much more empowered as well. Another way that we want to be in harmony with nature is to recognize our small part in the bigger picture. We are such a tiny part of this vast cosmos. And nature isn't just the trees and the birds, it's also the stars and the galaxy. It's the whole of life that we are a very, very tiny part of. And so when we can begin to recognize that and step in and interweave with that, everything can begin to change. And we start to have way more gratitude and appreciation and humility around our place in this world. And finally, the 10th thing that I want to share to be more in harmony with nature is gratitude. Having more gratitude for everything we see. I've done other videos about appreciating the seasons, especially winter. So many people seem to reject that. When we can be grateful for what it does give to us, the opportunity that it shares, the teachings that it shares, anything at all of nature that we take for granted, and we take a lot for granted. So practicing gratitude and recognizing all that we have to be grateful for. My goodness, nature gives us the clothing on our backs. It gives us the food on our tables. It gives us the home that we live in. It is so beautiful, and there's so much to be grateful for. And we would never want to harm nature if we could pause and honor that gratitude. To be in harmony with nature is to be out of discord, to be in flow and connection. And the more that we can learn to be in harmony with nature, the more we learn to step into and be in harmony with our own truth. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this with others. I think this concept of being in harmony with nature is a vastly underrated tool for helping us to become more empowered. I hope you found some great tips in the 10 strategies to be more in harmony with nature, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.